If the oxygen disappeared in an instant, what would happen to the world? The man was completing his dive training as usual, but the moment he took off the oxygen tube, he couldn't breathe. It was as if his throat had been pinched. He put the tube back in. Then he was able to return to normal. He thought he had been in the water for too long, and that was why he was short of breath. However, he took off the respirator again. The feeling of suffocation from lack of oxygen came over him. He couldn't understand what was happening in the world until he saw the dead animals on the road and the woman in the car who died from lack of oxygen. He realized that all the oxygen was gone. In order to find out if there are any survivors, the man dragged his own oxygen tank along the way. Soon he came to an abandoned house. The man groped his way into the house. Here he found a survivor wearing an oxygen mask like himself. In order to show his intention, he told the woman not to worry, I won't hurt you. Because of the loss of oxygen, the two of them could not express themselves verbally. They can only express their intentions through sign language. The man reached out to the woman and asked her to come with him. The woman looked at her mother who was still warm in her arms, although her heart was full of sadness, but she finally chose to leave with the man. They took the few bottles of oxygen left into the car. After making all the arrangements, they drove the 3 wheels. They continued to search for a place to live in a world without oxygen. Along the way, human corpses dripped from the streets. This scene made the two of them feel very painful inside. Soon after they arrived at a supermarket. Looking at the phone in front of them, the woman had the courage to dial 911, but no matter how many times she dialed, the phone was always unanswered. But they didn't give up hope. They went to the top of the mountain. They pulled out the only smoke grenade they had, but when the smoke cleared, there was no answer. And what's worse, they're running out of oxygen. They looked at each other and wait for their deaths to come. But just then, suddenly a firework burst from the sky in front of them. That means there are still survivors. They drove in the direction of the fireworks. By nightfall, they arrived at a luxury villa. The moment they walked in, they realized that the people in the house were already dead, and the fireworks they just saw were just timed fireworks set by these people in advance. The man plays an old man's DJ. At the end of their lives, they embrace each other. They danced their last dance. When the music ends, oxygen also immediately bottomed out. The man did not hesitate to replace the woman's last bottle of oxygen. At the same time, the woman also realizes that her oxygen tank is about to run out. She holds the oxygen tank to the man to indicate the status quo. She asks him to give up his last tank of oxygen, but the man says he's also out of oxygen. At that moment, the sinister nature of human nature is completely exposed. The two men fought over the last bottle of oxygen. During the fight, the antlers fell off the wall, and the man accidentally fell to the ground. The antler pierced the man's heart. Soon after, the man lost his life completely. The woman sadly took off the man's oxygen tube. Then she took off the man's goggles. Looking at the handsome man in front of her, the woman decisively took off her own oxygen mask, lying on top of the man, and went to heaven with him.